All right, Happy New Year, local Swell Trackers. 13th Sunday, GQ dropping in, and take a look at that jet stream. It's been like this, long, consolidated off Japan, up to near 200 knot winds. Right here, that dark purple, about 180, 190 max. Again, beautiful. Here we are sitting right here, so it's nosing to just about our latitudes. Power of the jet has enabled a lot of the energy to transpose down to the surface, get circulations for counterflow, low pressures, generating plenty of big swells. And there's been a great new year. So take a look at this guy continuing. It does get a break here this upcoming work week right here about Wednesday. But we'll still be generating plenty of waves from this scenario. This big beefcake that we just had has a couple follow-up, a brother and a sister, to keep us warning levels here once again this week, building Tuesday to warning levels through Wednesday the 16th. Stay waxed and stay ready. That break migrates within the jet stream as it splits further into the end of the work week, and then it starts to reconsolidate off Japan again, keeping this overall pattern in play. It's looking good. We're going to go back now. This is Sunday the 6th here at Storm Surf's models, and these are surface winds. You can see that fetch pointing right down us. That was that significant north to northeast swell. That was an amazing event. It really kicked in here as it tracked off towards California, bringing them 30, 40-foot waves, maybe even 50, again in the face for them. For us, we saw some spots get 8 to 12. Most spots were like 5 to 7, occasional 8. This was the culprit right here, again, for last week's beautiful northeast swell. Take a look at that. That was the fatty, and the original models had it tracking more easterly. It did take flight up into the northeast, and that's what limited the fetch length, thus the size of the surf. You need a long fetch length for those high winds to reach their full potential. So bringing the surface winds current, all the fetch now is off into the Gulf, but there's a new setup right here, coming off that large complex low, and there's a 1-2 punch for us here, pushing us up to easily 15 feet Tuesday, more in the afternoon, and then into Wednesday the 16th, and it'll be dropping rather rapidly. You can tell this is Sunday the 13th, so it's going to drop pretty quick to 10 feet Thursday, and dropping a lot from there. Rolling these things out a little bit further, you can see we go into a quiet period actually for quite some time. The North Pack's trying to come together, but it's not doing a real good job, so we are going to go into just a bit of a lull. So now we're going to take a look at the swells generated by those surface winds we were looking at. For the north swell, the northeast, here it starts. This was Monday the 7th, and starting up the models, you can see that thing had some whomping seas in it. 40, 50-foot seas, and that's why spots like Mavericks got huge. Here comes that beefcake marching towards the 180 date line here, about 1,200 miles to our northwest, and seizing that guy got huge. Over 50 feet, not a direct hit, and the track was kind of veering up to the east-northeast. We peaked at around 11, 12 feet, 16 to 18 seconds, and we saw solid 20-foot waves out of this, and jaws got considerably bigger, as it always does on these long period events. And they get long period because the storm had pockets of hurricane force. Running out these animations, there's the follow-up. We get a couple of them, but the first one's the biggest. These weaken, and there's that quiet period I'm talking about, like about 3 to 4 days, the whole deal kind of shuts down. Then it turns back on about a week out, Saturday the 19th. This little compact low right by the date line, starting these up, you see it again tracks up into the Gulf, not allowing it to get as close as it would otherwise to the islands. That's why winter's so good. The jet stream drops, especially in seasons of El Nino, although I'm not saying that's happening. It's really marginal right now as far as what we're seeing. Can't claim that this is all happening because of El Nino just yet. But this is plenty enough. We're going to get a little bit of a break, and then this is the model showing Sunday the 20th. We are expecting this guy to ramp us up 15, maybe 18 feet on the 21st. It's a little bit long on that forecast, so there's small confidence. The forecast is subject to a sharp U-turn. All right, taking a look at the swell period, and this is kind of going back here. You can see the longest forerunners in the 20-25 second range. Yeah, there was a delay of 3 to 5 hours on this. Again, it was smaller as the system changed its track in the long-range forecast. Had it much bigger, up to 25, even 30 feet when it originally spotted this puppy. What we had was big enough for most, and too big for most is what I meant. We're looking at the swell periods now averaging out to about 16 seconds. Swell still pumping, really clean. It's 3 o'clock on Sunday, and it's still 8 to 12, and there's some 15-footers still left over. Thick, nice conditions, becoming more manageable. let's start roll these out. You see the reinforcement coming. This will be Tuesday, Wednesday right here, and again back up to 15 hopefully, and we'll have a quiet period as this shows into a Friday, Saturday, and we're gonna have to wait until next week when this guy reaches us here. This model is on the 21st. Okay, so we do have a meridional or northeast bound flow to the jet. The winds are, only 120 knots here. That's not enough really to get much of a storm going at the surface. The direction is right. It will steer. The jet stream assists in the formation of storms and steers them once they are born. But we do need a little bit more than this, preferably 180 to over 200 miles an hour. Starting in the animations, we do see some 140 knot pockets, but they're too brief. This is Friday the 11th. We'll see a slight little pulse out of that. I'll get to the surface winds and the swells here shortly. It migrates off to the east coast. We go into a quiet several days, and then it goes zonal or west to east. Then in the long haul, we actually get some energy coming off the Tasman Sea, hugging the coast. We might see a little something out of this. It'll be all like 1/2 of a foot of swell, 1 foot of swell at 15 to 16 seconds. And we just have to be grateful that for January the South Shores are going to stay rideable. We've had some fun little 2-foot southwest Taz swell this past week, solid 2 feet, very inconsistent. This little fetch right here was from that storm that was in the Taz. We'll start in the animations and bring us through the weekend. You can see there is some stuff pointing up, but it's minor 30, 35 knot gales. And then we go to that quiet period. See how it turns zonal along with the jet stream? Then there comes that swell right there. This one we have a little bit better shot. This is back Friday the 18th. So you add in about 7 days, and we should see some forerunners coming up the 24th, Thursday, into the Christmas day. Don't expect a whole lot, but it will be rideable if you happen to get a brand new surfboard and aren't into the big waves yet. So there you go, South Shore. Let's take a look at how those swells are created by the surface winds we were looking at. We'll start it in just really minor. You see whenever it's yellow like that, it's not going to make its way up to us 4,000 or 5,000 miles away. And this is when it goes zonal quiet. I mean, it's going to be Mill Pond flat here coming up this month, and then we get a little bit of a break towards the end of the month, but nothing to write home about. Let's take a look at those swell periods. You can see most of the stuff coming down. This is the beefcake low with those 25-second forerunners right here in gray marching down. They will not cancel out whatever's coming up, but we don't have enough coming up. Let's start in the animation. See a little bit of that Tasman Sea swell. It's going that way. It's not coming up. We need them to track up and up and up to get through that cheese grater of all the South Pac Islands. And there you go. Some of the energy tries to get out to the east coast of New Zealand. Whether that makes it up for us for some 2-footers here later, we'll wait and see. But take a look at that. The northwest swells actually making their way to Peru, Chile. Plenty of swell there for South America from our North Pac. Okay, let me review this here. This is going back last Sunday. Here's that Tasman Sea low pressure. Not the optimal northeast flow, but east and big enough to get off to the east coast of New Zealand. And there is enough fetch in there to bring us up this Monday, Tuesday to 1 to 2, 2.5 feet if we're lucky, Tuesday the 15th. It'll begin to fade late Wednesday the 16th. This is the source of our south swell coming up this coming late Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Taking a look at the water vapor loops, features 20,000 feet up. You can see a lot of brown, dry, stable sinking air. Even though we have cloud cover that's locally created, the atmosphere is very stable. It's fairly dry. This is the reason why. That high pressure is about 300 miles off to our east, northeast. Push that high pressure off to our east. The high pressure has a ridge that's kind of over the islands, and that has killed the trades. We have a couple of fronts moving in. I know weird winds, possibly Wednesday for a brief period. Then we have another front weekend Saturday. More to follow, typical of season. Drilling down, see the lower level clouds coming in from a nice east angle. The North Shore really, really clean, and even the southern shores are pretty good right now, especially with a little favor from that west northwester wrapping in. Drilling down a little bit further, highs will be low 80s and the lows will be upper 60s to lower 70s. There's the hand-drawn surface chart showing the high pressure, what I was just talking about, and its ridge with the jagged orange line. Front's tail of the big low pressure that brought us our big waves and will also bring us more big waves this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can check surfnewsnetwork.com, of course, and read the big picture to review the details on the vid. Reflective loop showing just a few sprinkles. All in all, dry, couple windward Malka showers. See a little bit of a southeast flow, and that's coming. More southerly winds ahead of a front. The same is going to happen a couple more times within the next 10 days. Taking a look at today's winds, a lot of them are pointing off to our east. We go into quite a quiet period here this week as all these models show this stay through Wednesday, and things are going to take a little while to get going again, but it looks like they will towards the end of the work week. There are some big waves. The big picture has some more beefcakes in the long-range forecast, but I think models are running hot on those, and we'll keep you dialed in. That's your local swell tracker. I'll be back on Saturday the 26th. See you in the lineup.